When I was younger, um, I was when I was a child. Um, I used to get sick sometimes, and when I was sick, I would stay home from school. I would lay in bed, and I would patiently wait to get better. My family had some interesting folk medicine, meaning when I had a fever, what I would do is drink lots of water, and then I would lay under a lot of blankets that would make me sweat even more. And they would say, "You got to sweat out the fever. You got to sweat out the sickness." And generally it worked. And as I got a little older and I started becoming interested in meditation and enlightenment and healing, I wondered, why do people get sick? One of the reasons that I was interested in healing in the first place was because I had pain. My father had pain. My father used to go through these rages. And then later on in life, he started to have heart problems. He was always looking for something to blame for why he felt the way he did. It must have been something he ate, or this person. He was always upset about something. And he was always in pain in his chest, and it's no surprise that later on in life he started to have very bad heart problems. And his hatred is what made him sick. People get sick for a lot of different reasons. Some people are very sensitive to the feelings of others, and they have a lot of empathy and sympathy, and so they can't help but open themselves up to everyone they meet, trying to help everybody. They're just subconsciously driven this way. Other people, on the surface, they might look perfect or whatever, but underneath, they're seething with terrible emotions, bitter emotional attachments, hatred burning in their hearts. And in their minds. And this is another reason why people get sick. A third reason people get sick is because they're cleansing. What's actually happening is they're getting well. They had some illness, some disease, ruminating in their body. And when they finally get sick and there's symptoms on display, what's actually happening is they're getting well. The body is purging itself of what would have made them sick eventually. Dr. Gabor Mate is a great person to read his books, because in it he reveals that one of the biggest reasons that he sees that people get sick is because of inherited emotional trauma. People who can't get away from their parents often end up taking on the emotional trauma of their family. And unless they can get out from underneath all of that energy that's been foisted upon them, all the mental pressure, the scapegoating, the isolation, the neglect, the lack of love, if they can't find a way to accept themselves and escape, these people become sick. And this is how parents kill their own children. They do it by directing their unconscious emotions onto the children, and then they prevent their children from growing through abuse, neglect, shaming, typical narcissistic control patterns. So they put their children into a psychic pressure cooker this way, where they've foisted on them all of their own unresolved issues, but they have a deep fear of seeing their children go beyond where they are. So then they try to crush their children when the children are trying to heal and grow from all of this unresolved shit the parents have foisted on them. This accounts for a lot of life. We're emotionally motivated creatures. And, we might tell ourselves that we do things for a goal or whatever, but for most people, what we're really doing is trying to heal our inner child. The inner child that wasn't loved, wasn't accepted, wasn't acknowledged, wasn't seen, wasn't heard, wasn't allowed to breathe, wasn't allowed to play. This is why people repeat the patterns of their parents, why they become their parents, and why they get sick and die. And to prevent this from happening, you have to meditate. You have to move your body. So your comfort zone is literally death. If this situation applies to you, your comfort zone is death. You can't sit on the couch. You can't smoke those cigarettes. You can't eat that food. You can't drink that shitty shit. It's gonna kill you. Because that's what you're doing to escape doing your inner work. You have to stimulate your muscles so that they let go of that fear. You have to bring in fresh energy, and you have to squeeze out all of this old shit. And now, this is where modern medicine and psychology and psychiatry has failed us all. Except for Carl Jung. He's the lone hero that has paved a true path that works, called individuation. And this is the restoring of your soul. This is a very deep topic that we could go down. And I don't want to give idiots ammunition to start arguments. So I'm going to do a separate video on that. Why you have to become your father before you can let go and move on. Why you have to accept you don't have to become your father. What you have to do is accept your father. And only then you can be free from your father. Because same thing with your mother. It's because they had wounded inner children that their parents didn't treat well, and their parents had wounded inner children that your great-great-grandparents didn't treat well. And maybe your great-great-great-grandparents went through such a harsh life that you just, the further back you go, the more and more everything starts to make perfect sense, and you see that life couldn't be any other way. Everything is the way it is, exactly the way it is, for reasons. And these reasons are the lives of the people who lived before you. Psychiatry doesn't help anyone. Going to therapy and talking about the things that bother you, I don't know a single person who has gone to a therapist and said, wow, that changed my life. I'm a whole different person and I feel a lot better. I was able to let this big thing go by talking about it incessantly. I don't know a single person. I tried therapy. I tried psychiatry. In fact, psychiatry was forced on me when I was a child because I couldn't stay still. So they gave me ADHD. I think they gave me fucking meth when I was a kid. Adderall or whatever, which is meth. But just because I couldn't stay still. They fed me a ton of sugary food and then stuck me in school all day where I had to sit. And of course, I was couldn't focus, couldn't stay still. So then they stuck me on drugs. And this is completely insane. Doing this to people. It's completely insane. Because it doesn't work. It doesn't address the heart of the person at all. What you need to focus on is to forget everything that everyone has ever told you, and you have to get in touch with your heart. And you have to get in touch with how you really feel. And you have to get in touch with your pain, and you have to let it in. You have to let the pain in. Let the fear in. And you have to sit with it. Because that pain and that fear is your inner child reacting to something. And if you can take that in and sit with it and let it be and just observe it and use your mind, while you're doing it, tell yourself, this is where the idea of prayer comes in. Some part of you has to know this is all going to work out in a good way. I don't know. You might say, I don't know how. I don't know how it's going to work out. But it's all going to work out in a good way. And you have to do this every day. And over time, as you do that, these things that are holding you back in life are going to become the voice of your inner guidance system, right? The reason that I said, I mean, I was a helpless child, and I didn't listen to my inner guidance system, and I let the adults tell me what to do. And I didn't say no to the psychiatry. I didn't say no to the schooling. I didn't say no to being forced to do things I didn't want to do. And because I didn't say no to these things, I let them in. And later on, I was able to heal from them. And become aware of the truth. And I did it through meditation, working out, and eating right. Being disciplined as I could be with my approach towards listening to my inner self. So, the human system, you could say the human system has three parts. You have the part of you that's interconnected with all of life. The oneness itself is looking through you, acting through you. Then you have your mind, and then you have your body. And they're all actually the same thing, but for functionality's sake, for organization's sake, you can look at it as three separate things that have to be aligned. This is where mental illness can come into play. So if your body is ill, it means your body is out of alignment with your mind and your spirit. If your mind is ill, it means that your emotions, you have mental illness. Your mind itself is out of alignment with your body and your spirit. And when you get them all aligned, you'll find your depth and your stillness. And then from that, you start to have true thoughts. And then you have to take action based on these true thoughts. And this is where you start learning to trust yourself. A long time ago, when I was in ayahuasca ceremony, I had a thought about this process. And the thought was, you can't rip the skin off the snake before it sheds it. So you will get to where it is that you are trying to get to by doing the work. If you're a perfectionist or you were raised in a perfectionist environment, a very impatient environment, then that's going to be an emotional attachment that you have to let go of. If you were raised in an environment where people were mentally lazy, emotionally lazy, that's going to be an attachment that you have to get over. But you'll find that as you do this work, as you meditate and move your body, and you start to focus on what you do want, and you let the pain in, and you think about where you're trying to get to next, you'll start to get better. You'll start to feel better. You'll start to think better. And you'll become more aligned. And the more and more aligned you are, the more and more powerful you're going to be. This is what it means to heal from having illness. You have to get better in your body. You have to get better in your mind. And then the spirit is the flower that grows from these things. And you have to use all three. In Western occultism, they talk about the idea of having a true will as opposed to the will of your ego. Because you might think, I want this, I want that, I want comfort every day, I want pleasure every day. Those are right. Those are things anybody would want, right? That's Cypher in the Matrix. I want the steak. Just give me the steak and make me forget who I am, so I don't know anything, and I'm just going to be in comfortable pleasure all the time. That's the will. That's basically the will of the ego. And there's a concept of something called the true will, which is the will of your spirit. It's the will of the one acting through you. It's the reason why you were born. And the true will may change as the conditions of your life change, as things come and go. But it's the other benefit of getting your mind, body, and spirit aligned is that you can start to become aware of your true will. And you can start to take action based on your true will. And this will also help you to get well, to heal, to become stronger, have more energy, and have truer thoughts.